In this class, we are going to discuss various kinds of optical and electronic interactions under nanoscale confinement of photons and electrons. First, let's discuss nanoscale optical interactions. In order to have nanoscale interactions, we have to confine the electric field associated with the photons to nanoscale dimensions. This can be achieved by using a number of geometries. The optical field can be localized on nanoscale both axially and laterally. By axial confinement, we mean that the field will be confined along the axial direction or along the direction in which the electric field is leaked out. Lateral confinement means that the field is confined sideways of propagation direction. The evanescent wave that we have seen as the tunneling of light to classically forbidden region in a previous class is an example of axial nanoscopic localization. There we had seen that the penetration depth of such leaked electric field is of the order of 50 to 100 nanometer. Since this field is confined to such nanoscale dimension, it can be used to induce nanoscale optical interactions. An example of nanoscale optical interaction is the coupling of two waveguides by the evanescent waves, which can be used as a directional coupler for switching of signals in an optical communication network. We know that evanescent wave is a near field wave exhibiting exponential decay with distance from the interface. In this coupling, evanescent waves are transmitted from one waveguide to the another. When sufficient distance is maintained between the two waveguides, the interaction between the two waveguides are negligibly small. But if the separation between the two waveguides becomes so small, then the evanescent waves of one waveguide can enter the second waveguide, where it can again propagate normally. Thus, there is an exchange of energy between the two waveguides. The coupling strength can be very sensitive to the distance between the waveguides, and hence choosing the distance between the waveguides and the length of the coupling region, it is possible to couple any desired fraction of the light from one waveguide to the other. Another example of a geometry producing an evanescent wave is provided by total internal reflection, involving the propagation of light through a prism of refractive index n1 to an environment of a lower refractive index n2. At the interface, the light refracts and partially passes into the second medium at a sufficiently small incidence angle. But when the angle of incidence exceeds the critical angle, the light beam is reflected from the interface. Light is totally internally reflected back to the prism from the prism environment interface. But even under the condition of total internal reflection, a portion of the incident energy penetrates the prism surface as an evanescent wave and enters the environment in contact with the prism surface. The electric field amplitude Ez decays exponentially with the distance into the surrounding medium of lower refractive index. The evanescent wave energy, which is typically confined into a few nanometer length scale from the interface, can be absorbed by a fluorophore to generate fluorescence emission that can be used to image fluorescently labeled biological targets. Because of the short range nature of the evanescent field, only the specimen near the substrate surface generates fluorescence. The fluorophores, which are further away in the bulk of the cellular medium, are not excited. This feature allows us to use total internal reflection for microscopy and obtain a high quality image of the fluorescently labeled biological substances near the surface. A video description of total internal reflection fluorescence spectroscopy is uploaded in the Moodle classroom. You can watch it to get a clear idea about it. Another example of axial nanoscopic localization of light is surface plasmon resonance. Surface plasmons are electromagnetic waves that propagates along the interface between a metal film and a dielectric material. We will learn more about the surface plasmons in the third module. This is a schematic representation of electron density wave propagating along a metal dielectric interface. The charge density oscillations and associated electromagnetic fields are called surface plasmon polariton waves. The intensity of electric field of such propagating waves exponentially decreases with distance away from the interface as shown here. So effectively the electric fields are confined near the interface at dimensions of the order of a few nanometers. The frequency and wave vector range of surface plasmon polaritons are quite different from the ranges which is usually allowed to propagate through a metal film or dielectric film. Therefore, no direct excitation of surface plasmon is possible. The most commonly used method to generate a surface plasmon wave is attenuated total reflection geometry. In this geometry, we use a prism to couple light to excite surface plasmons at the interface between the metal and dielectric film. A p-polarized laser beam is incident at the prism and then its reflection is monitored for different angles of incidence. Upon total reflection of the incident light at the interface where the prism touches the metal film, a small fraction of the light extends into the metal film as an evanescent wave, which even extends into the sample as this metal film is very thin. At a certain angle, the electromagnetic wave couples to the interface as surface plasmon. This surface plasmon excitation attenuates the reflected light, and this drop in intensity of the reflected light is shown here. The angle at which the reflectivity minimum occurs is related to the wave vector of the surface plasmon polariton through the relation Ksp equal to Knp sin theta sp, where Ksp is the wave vector of the surface plasmon and K is the wave vector of the bulk electromagnetic wave and Np is the refractive index of the prism. The wave vector of surface plasmon polariton depends the dielectric constant of the metal and the dielectric material. Typically, we measure the angle for the reflectivity minimum and the width of the resonance curve is then used to generate the real and imaginary parts of the refractive index and the thickness of dielectric layer. We can see that any change in the dielectric constant of the metal or the dielectric material leads to a shift in the angle at which this reflectivity minimum occurs. So this technique allows us to limit the light matter interaction to nanoscale volume and also to monitor it effectively. An additional video description is posted in the Moodle page which you can watch later. A lateral nanoscale confinement of light can be obtained using a near field geometry in which the sample under optical illumination is within a fraction of wavelength of light from the source or an aperture. In the near field geometry, an electric field distribution around a nanoscopic structure produces spatially localized optical interactions. Similar to what we have seen in evanescent waves, this spatial localized electric field also decays exponentially as we move away from the aperture. Such near field geometry is realized using a near field scanning optical microscope abbreviated as NSOM or sometimes as SNOM, which we will study in detail in the second module. So summarizing the nanoscale optical interactions, we have seen that There are two types of optical confinement, axial and lateral. Axial confinement of light happens in the case of evanescent waves and surface plasmons. Evanescent waves will be generated at the total internal reflection process and also in optical waveguides. The lateral confinement of photons can be achieved by squeezing light through an aperture or by scattering light by nanoscopic metal tips. In the case of insulating materials, the electronic wave functions are highly localized within an atom, ion or molecule. Even in such cases, the immediate surrounding plays an important role in determining the fate of an electronic excited state. Thus, the excitation dynamics can be manipulated by properly choosing the nano environment of the species to be excited or by utilizing a nano-confined structure such as a nanoparticle. One of the examples for nanoscale electronic interactions which can modify the optical properties of a material is nanoscopic interaction dynamics, in which electron confinement leads to control of local density of states of the phonons and thereby manipulating radiative and non-radiative transitions in the materials. A particular radiative transition can be enhanced by local interactions. For example, in rare earth iron containing nanostructures, the excited state relaxation is controlled to produce enhancement of a particular emission. An important type of emission is that of the erbium 3+ ions at 1550 nanometer, which forms the basis for optical amplification. Here, nanostructure control produces a significant increase of the emission lifetime to provide improved optical amplification ability. Nanoscale electronic interactions also produce new types of optical transitions and enhanced optical communications between two electronic centers. Next, we discuss some new cooperative transitions originating from nanoscale electronic interactions. In a collection of ions, atoms or molecules, two neighboring species can interact to produce new optical absorption bands or allow new multiphoton absorption processes. Formation of biexcitons in a semiconductor or in a quantum confined structure is an example of cooperative transition. Produces new optical absorption and emission from a bioexcitonic state whose energy is more than that of two separated excitons. Another example for cooperative transitions due to nanoscale electronic interaction is the emission from a dimer. A dimer is a combination of two specimens in which one of them is in the excited state and the other one is in the ground state. If A and B are the same, the resulting excited state dimer is called an excimer. If A and B are different, then the resulting heterodimer is called an exciplex. The optical emission from this excimeric or exciplex state is redshifted compared to the emission from the monomeric excited form A star. The excimer and exciplex emission is a very sensitive probe to the nanoscopic structure and orientation surrounding a molecule and has been extensively used to probe local environment and dynamical processes in biology. Another example is cooperative transitions in rare earth ion pairs. Here, one ion absorbs energy and transfers it to the other one, which then absorbs another photon to get excited to a higher electronic level. For this to happen, the two ions must be very close. The excess electronic energy of an atom, ion or molecule, which it gained by an optical absorption or by a chemical reaction, can be transferred to another 1 in nanoscopic scale. This electronic energy transfer involves transfer of excess energy and not the transfer of electrons. Hence, in this process, one center has an excess energy and acts as an energy donor, which transfers the excitation energy to an acceptor. Consequently, the excited electron in the energy donor returns to the ground state, while the electron, the energy acceptor group, is promoted to the excited state. For example, in fluorescence resonance energy transfer takes place between two different types of molecules within nanometers apart. So the donor molecule is optically excited to a higher electronic level. Because of the FRET process, emission from the donor is suppressed. Fluorescence is detected from the energy acceptor. FRET is a popular method in bioimaging to probe nanoscale interactions among cellular components, such as to monitor protein-protein interactions. In this case, one protein may be labeled with a fluorescent dye which act as energy donor when electronically excited by light. The other protein is labeled by an energy acceptor which can receive energy when the two proteins are within nanoscopic distances in the range of 1 to 10 nanometer. To maximize the FRET process, there should be a significant spectral overlap between the emission spectrum of the donor and the absorption spectrum of the acceptor. Cooperative emission is another example of manifestation of electronic interactions. Here, two neighboring centers, when electronically excited, can emit a photon of higher energy through a virtual state of the pair centers. This process produces upconverted emission of a high frequency photon than the energy of excitation of individual ions. This interaction is manifested when the two neighboring ions are separated within nanometers. It should be pointed out that the emission is not from a real level of the ion pair, but from a virtual level, which is not an allowed electronic level either of the individual ions or of the ion pair. So, summarizing the nanoscopic electronic interactions, there are many ways by which confined electronic interactions can lead to changes in the optical properties of the material. Quantum confinement effects will be discussed when we study low-dimensional structures in the next module. Apart from that, we have seen that localized electronic interactions can lead to the control of excitation dynamics and promote new cooperative optical transitions in the material.